How much money do you need to make to buy a home that costs $500,000? Let's break it down. I'm going to show you in this video the steps you can take to estimate how much money you need to make a year in order to afford a home that costs $500,000. Before I break down the steps you need to take, there is one important thing you need to understand, and it's that the amount of money you will need will be different for each property, even if they're the same price. There are other factors that go into how much you can afford when it comes to a home, such as property taxes, HOA fees, and even home insurance. This means that if you really want to know how much money you need to make in order to buy real estate, you have to do so for each individual property. Don't worry though, it's not as complicated as you might think. In fact, let me give you a quick walkthrough to show you how simple it can be to find out how much money you need to make in order to buy a certain property. And if you stick through to the end, I'll show you how you can estimate how much money you can afford with your salary. All right, let's start this from scratch. Let's say you want to start looking at homes, so you want to see what's for sale. So you go to Google and you're going to Google a website like Realtor.com or Zillow, whichever one you want to use. But for this case, we're going to use Realtor.com, and we're going to look at homes for sale in Chicago because that's where I'm from, so that's where we're going to look. So we're going to click on Chicago, and for the price, you have a budget of $500K. So we're going to take a look at that. And then also for a tip for anybody who uses these online platforms for sale, make sure to hide the pending and contingent properties because those are pretty much already have a contract. They've already accepted an offer, so don't want to waste your time. And we're also going to sort this by highest price because we want to see the best that's for sale. So I want to look for a single family home. Let's start there. So we'll just go with house. Oh, look at this. It's a smaller home, but okay, it looks pretty nice on the inside. Let's see what we got here. So how much money do we need to make to afford a home like this? Now, you see this estimate here is $28.33 a month, but I can tell you already that's probably something wrong with that. So what we're going to do, the first step we need to know if we're going to estimate how much money we need to make in order to afford a $500,000 house is we need to know what the estimated mortgage is going to be. And the best way to do that is to Google mortgage calculator with taxes. Once you do that, you'll be taken to this mortgage calculator. Make sure to include taxes and fees because that's very important. All right, so from here, all we have to do is fill out this information using the info for this particular property because once again, every property is different and every property is going to have a different estimated mortgage. So for home price, we're going to put $500,000. For your down payment, nobody does 20% anymore. So if we're using an FHA loan, we're going to do 3.5%. Now for the interest rate, you'll also need to Google what today's interest rates are because they change daily. You scroll down, so you see 30-year fixed. We're at 7.04%. So you put that in here. That's the first important number you need. The next important number you need are the yearly property taxes because that's going to make a big difference on your mortgage. So for the property taxes, you're going to go back to the website and we're going to look to find the taxes. So let's see if we can find it in property details. I know they like to hide it on, let's try property history. All right, here we go. Looks like the last taxes recorded in 2020 were $1,700, and that's actually pretty cheap. So, okay, so for this property, we'll just put $1,800. We'll round it up. So that's a lot cheaper than this $6,200. So we'll put $1,800 a year. And the home insurance, you'll have to look up what the average home insurance is in your area, but that's also something that's important. But for Illinois, that's about right. Now, private mortgage insurance, whenever you get an FHA loan, for example, and you don't have at least 20% down, you have to pay what's called private mortgage insurance. And in this case, it's estimated to be around $400, so that's pretty much on par. And for the homeowners association or HOA, this single family home doesn't have an HOA, so you don't have to worry about that. But if we were doing a condo, you definitely have an extra cost here. So that's going to put your total monthly payment at around $3,900. Now, to show you how each property can require its own different amount, let's take a look at another property with the same price. So let's take a look and see what townhomes we have. And then we have this one just came on the market, 3153 South Canal Street for $500,000. We got 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bath. So let's take a quick look, see what we're getting into. Okay, floors look nice. All right, definitely got the older wallpaper and the carpet. All right. So let's see how much the estimated mortgage would be for this property. So a lot of stuff is going to stay the same. So home price, $500K. We're going to do a 3.5% down payment. The interest rate is going to be the same. But what's going to change are these property taxes. So instead of $1,800, let's see what the property taxes are for this property. And then we also have to look for the HOA fee as well. So we might as well get that while we're here. And look, Homeowners Association, they say no. So there is no HOA fee for this one. So that's actually good. And for the annual taxes, we're at pretty much $7,300. And that's a big difference from this $1,800. So let's change that. Homeowners insurance and private mortgage insurance are going to be around the same. So this estimated monthly payment is $43.75. That's a little bit of a difference. Now, as you can see, even though these properties have the same price, the property taxes are very different. So that means that the mortgage for the townhome is going to be a lot more than the mortgage for the home. Now that you have the estimated mortgage, you can use that amount to figure out how much money you need to make a year to be able to afford this home. You can do this by using the debt to income ratio. Debt to income ratio is basically the total monthly debt you have divided by your gross monthly income. For FHA loans, lenders require that your total monthly debt, including the estimated mortgage, can be no more than 43% of your gross monthly income. We can use this to estimate how much we need to make a year. So let's use the single family home for example. The estimated mortgage is $3,900. Take this number and add on any monthly debt that you have. That's minimum credit card payments, student loans, car loans, things like that. Let's say for this example, you have a $500,000 car loan. Once you add those two together, you then take that number and divide it by 0.43, which is the maximum amount of debt to income ratio that lenders will allow. You then take that number, multiply by 12, and that's how much money you need to make a year in order to afford that property. See? Simple. Now that you know how to estimate how much money you need to make in order to buy a $500,000 home, how can you estimate how much money you can afford with your salary? We can use the same debt to income ratio to figure that out. For example, let's say that you make $70,000 a year. Take that amount and divide it by 12, and that's your gross monthly income. From there, you'll take your gross monthly income and multiply that by 0.43, and that's the maximum amount of mortgage that you can afford. If you have any monthly debts, make sure to subtract it from that number, and then that will be the maximum estimated mortgage that you can afford. Now, if you want an example on how much real estate is selling for in the Chicago area, check out my videos here.